2 wins in a row. We have not had the chance to say that in a while. And this one was all about the pitching. Angels 2, Mariners 1. We'll talk about it on the Locked On Angels Postcast right now.
You are Locked On Angels Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, Halo Nation. Hello, Halo hopefuls, and welcome to the latest edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast. As always, after every single Angels game, coming at you live on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel and after the fact, wherever you get the Locked On Angels podcast feed. The Angels victorious again for the second night in a row, and not quite as exciting, not a walk-off bomb from Willie Calhoun, but another victory, another close, tight, one-run victory against the Mariners, and back-to-back wins for the first time in the month of July, and it feels so nice. The Angels get it done behind a great, kind of up and down at times, kind of roller coastery at times, but overall, statistically wise and, result wise, great start from Jose Soriano. You love to see that, but you love to see the bullpen once again lock it down. Ben Joyce, Luis Garcia, Carlos Estevez, they are forming a nice trio, and we might not see that trio for much longer. Carlos Estevez might be out the door soon. Luis Garcia might be out the door soon with the trade deadline. We don't know, but at the very least, right now, they have been fantastic, and they're up in that trade value, and if that's the conversation you want to have. But we will break it all down as we always do on every single postcast. I am Gavin Carlson. If you don't know who I am, I spent 4 years as a credentialed journalist in the LA area, writing articles, conducting interviews, going to live sporting events across the country. And of course, I'm now a part of Locked On Podcast Network. Shout out to everybody in here. As always, appreciate every single person that comes in, whether it's live, leaving comments in the chat, which I certainly love, or after the fact in the YouTube comment section. People leave me Twitter DMs. I love those as well. So yeah, shout out to everybody in here. Appreciate it as always. Jeff always in here. Sean always in here. And, some of the other regulars as well. Appreciate each and every one of you. On today's show, we will talk about it all. Anthony Jimenez in here as well. Good to see you all. Another win. It feels great. Yesterday, I was maybe a little too emotional. I was so excited after that game. You win a game when you haven't won many in recent memory. You win it on a walk-off, which we haven't had much of this year. The last walk-off home run coming from Logan O'Hoppe felt like weeks, months, years ago. So that Willie Calhoun walk-off yesterday had me absolutely buzzed. And today, I feel great. I still feel great. Obviously, the Angels won, so it's a great night. But this one, I'll be able to talk about the game a little bit more and maybe not go on rants about just getting to enjoy the win. We'll talk more about the game in this one. But before we do, quick shout out to the sponsor of today's show, Booking.com. Booking.yeah, the right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today. And with all that being said, the story of this game, at least in my opinion, you have to talk about the pitching, of course. You have to talk about the bullpen. And we'll talk about Soriano in a second because, I love watching Jose Soriano pitch. I think everybody loves watching Ben Joyce. As Sean says here, he says, absolutely beautiful for the Halos. Bullpen continues to hold it down. SD is pitching like a top closer in the league. Gonna miss him because he, like most of us, assumes he's going to get traded. But he says, but my God, Joyce is special. Yes, he is. And that is the common takeaway anytime Ben Joyce pitches as of late is this guy is so exciting. He's so electric. Look, here we come right here. Thomas Cassiano, I believe. I have not seen your name before, so welcome, Thomas, to the postcast. He says, Joyce has been looking good. Yes, he has. He's developed secondary pitches. We know he throws gas. We saw him yesterday throw the hardest pitch of the season. I think it was 104.4, rivaling the Mason Millers, rivaling the Paul Skeenses of the world. The Angels have one of those young electric arms in the MLB, and it's a thrill that, unlike a starter, unlike a Paul Skeens, you get to watch this guy, and not even a Mason Miller who's a closer, right? Ben Joyce, we get to see almost every night now, if it's close, and it is so fun to watch him. Obviously, we saw 3 strikeouts in that single inning of pitching. Just beautiful, just absolutely beautiful. And we will talk about Ben Joyce as well, but my thing I was going to say is that I love seeing Jose Soriano pitch. I don't know why. Something about him. He has the pitch repertoire that I like. of a young pitcher in 2024. I think it's the right pitch repertoire of throwing that sinker, of throwing the hard fastball, having the nice changeup. Ben Joyce has a very similar pitching repertoire. And so we will get to Jose Soriano in a second because I want to talk about his start. I thought he showed a lot of resilience, which is what I want to see. But the story of this game was the bullpen, because anytime it's this close, even though Soriano was great, we have seen, especially earlier in the season, when the Locked On Daily podcast guys and myself were calling this bullpen the blowpen. We've seen games where the bullpen has blown a great start from a Tyler Anderson, or a great start from a Griffin Canning, or occasionally a great start from Patrick Sandoval back when he would pitch, right? But not tonight. Ben Joyce comes in the 7th, gives up a leadoff double to Victor Robles, who I remember there was a time they were talking about Victor Robles being a future all-star. He certainly hasn't lived up to that yet, but a great job. He works a great count, or does a great, in a pitching count, a great count for Ben Joyce, 2-2. He throws a fastball at the knees, not an awful pitch, and he gives up a leadoff double to a speedster in Victor Robles. And I'm thinking, you got a 1-run lead, you take out Soriano, you bring in the bullpen, and immediately they give up a double. But after that, talk about electric from Ben Joyce. Not 1, not 2, but 3 strikeouts. Absolutely fools J.P. Crawford, working the outside corner. He throws 1 4-seamer inside. He throws a sinker that wasn't even close. But then on 2-2, a sinker high and away, swings right through it at 94.5 miles an hour. It's hard. It's really hard to time a guy who throws 104, but also 94 on the sinker, but also 90 miles an hour on the slider, splitter, combo, whatever you want to call it. Ben Joyce has that stuff. And so then against Cal Raleigh, 1-2-3, sinker, changeup. And the sinker is clearly the pitch that Ben Joyce needed to take the next step. And not even the next step, because let's not forget, when this guy was called up, he was getting roughed up. The ERA was over 10. He was throwing 103 mile an hour fastballs right down the middle and getting wrecked. He was. But now he's a sinker ball primary pitcher. He is. I'm going to actually pull up Baseball Savant real quick because I'm curious what the percentage now is in terms of how much he throws the sinker in comparison to other stuff. Because earlier in the year, he wasn't throwing the sinker at all. He technically didn't even have the sinker. But now, according to Baseball Savant, he throws the sinker 31% of the time. The 4-seamer is still at 47%. But if you look at recent games, and especially tonight, that sinker might be at 60%. Felt like he was throwing that every pitch. And certainly in this at-bat against Cal Raleigh, he did. He threw sinker, and then gets him with the changeup. Beautiful 0-2 changeup down and away. And then against Julio Rodriguez, slider, sinker, slider. So he's got 4 pitches now. A 4-seamer, a sinker, a changeup, and a slider. He's building that pitch repertoire. He's obviously always going to have the gas, or at least for the next 5-10 years, he's going to throw that hard. But man, love to see it strike out the side after the leadoff double. I'd almost prefer, hot take here, I'd almost prefer to see at least a Ben Joyce, a young guy who was trying to see build, confidence and resilience. I'd rather see him give up a leadoff double and then strike out the side than just see him come out and strike out the side. Maybe that's a hot take, but I would rather see what we saw in the 7th tonight, because yes, it puts the win in jeopardy when you give up a leadoff double, but we know that the priority right now, of course you want to win, is still looking to the future. And so I would argue that striking out the side does not help the future Ben Joyce as much as giving up a leadoff double and then striking out the side. So absolutely love what I saw. He ended the 7th, striking out Julio Rodriguez, who is a young and up-and-coming superstar. He throws a slider just outside, a great take, but then sinker at the knees, slider down and away. Perfect 1-2 pitch on that slider to strike him out. So great strikeout pitches. Strikes out J.P. Crawford on a high away sinker, strikes out Kyle Rayleigh on a down and away changeup, strikes out Julio Rodriguez on a down and away perfect located slider. So absolutely perfect from Ben Joyce, but it did not stop there. Luis Garcia comes in, 1-2-3, and he didn't waste time. Just 2 pitches to get Mitch Garver out, 5 pitches to get that strikeout on Luke Rayleigh, and then 4 pitches, a nice sinker, not really high, not really where you want it, but it worked well enough. That's why I love the sinker so much. He forced a ground ball even on a high fastball because it is a sinker, and he forced a ground out, 1-2-3, and then like Sean said in the comment section here, Esty has been lights out. Lights out. And at the right time, unlike certain guys, Taylor Wards of the world, guys with the deadline approaching who haven't been playing well, Esty has been on fire, and he is again tonight. Just 1, 2, 3 pitches against Polanco. Sure, it was a hard line drive. Sure, it was really a deep fly ball, 330 feet, 107 exit velo, but it's an out. And then he gets Josh Rojas relatively deep as well. And then Victor Robles strikes out swinging to end the game. And I'd say the second best way to end a game other than a walk-off hit is to strike out the opposing team. Always feels great. The Big A was rocking, and the Angels win back-to-back games. The bullpen, in case you from that did not, understand the stat line, just one hit. That one leadoff double from Ben Joyce, and otherwise not a single base runner in 3 innings for the whole bullpen. Just one hit from Ben Joyce, but then he strikes out the side, and then 1, 2, 3 from Garcia, 1, 2, 3 for Estevez. Estevez's ERA is all the way down to 2.61. Love that. One of the top closers in the league right now. Certainly could get a lot for him at the deadline. But Ben Joyce quietly has a 2.76 ERA. Oh, yeah, and he's only getting better. He's only getting better. That ERA could be under 2.5 in not too long. We know he has certainly not pitched as many innings as Carlos Estevez. That ERA can jump pretty low pretty quickly. And even Luis Garcia, who's been up and down, the ERA is at 4.08. Who knows? You give him a couple more appearances before the deadline, certainly. If you can get that ERA in the 3s instead of the 4s, that looks real good as trade value. As I have a spider on the microphone that I'm going to try to quickly flick away. That's kind of crazy. Think I got that. But maybe it's time to take a break right there. Moral of the story, the bullpen was great. They don't always get the love. The bullpen is kind of like being I don't even know the right position to compare it to, but you never get praise. It's kind of like being a field goal kicker, right? You never get praise for doing what you're supposed to do. You only get criticized if something goes wrong. Sure, the closer gets the credit for the save, but the guy who pitches in the 7th inning or the 8th inning, they're kind of like a kicker kicking a 40-yard field goal. You expect them to make it the same way you expect a Ben Joyce or Luis Garcia to come in and not allow any runs. But when they do, you yell at them, you criticize them, you say they blew the game for your team, the same way you say a kicker did if they miss a 40-yarder, but you don't talk about them if they make it. They were just supposed to do that. So got to give the bullpen their love. They deserved it. When we come back, we'll talk about Jose Soriano because he certainly deserves the love as well. Gives up just 1 earned run in 6 innings of up and down but resilient starting pitching. We'll talk about that and the offense in the second win in a row for our Angels here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. I'll be right back. Today's show is brought to you by, once again, Booking.com. Yeah, I love that, by the way. It's so fun. With summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore those U.S. cities you always secretly wanted to learn more about. Yes, we're talking about your rival cities. With hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com, you might just find your perfect stay even when you're in your baseball rival city. If you don't know by now, I am going to New York in literally a day. I fly out tomorrow after the Angel game. I'm going to watch the game. I'm going to do the postcast as always. And then I'm getting on a red-eye 11 o'clock flight out of San Francisco to New York. And figuring out the flight was tough. Figuring out the booking, the hotels was not. I used Booking.com. I found a bed and breakfast. I found a hotel. And it was easy with Booking.com. It really was. So I highly recommend use Booking.com. Whether it's the app, whether it's the website, they hooked me up and they will hook you up as well. It's smooth. No questions asked. It's not like Expedia. Sorry, I shouldn't say opposing companies or whatnot, but let's just say Booking.com is easy. It's great. So from hotels that look over stadiums to family-friendly resorts, Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. for your summer travel this MLB season. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. Book today on Booking.com on the site or in the Booking.com app. And today's show is also brought to you by the wonderful people at Prize Picks. If you don't know by now, Prize Picks it's America. It's America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. And it's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports because here's the key. Unlike other apps where you're competing against other people, on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. And they have great promotions, especially right now. On Taco Tuesdays, they lower certain stat projections to make it easier for your lineup to hit. And on Fridays, if you have a losing slip, they'll actually give you your money back, your entry fee back. So how do you not love a Friday night where you can put in an entry, and if it doesn't hit, you don't even lose your money? It's great. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on Prize Picks for a deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Back here live on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. This is the Locked On Angels Postcast. I'm Gavin Carlson, and the Angels are victorious for a second straight night. Man, have not had the opportunity to say that in a while. Have not had the opportunity to say it once in the month of July so far. We're almost exactly halfway through the month, now 13 days in, and a whole lot of losses. If you don't know, somehow, the month of July started with a sweep, 3-game sweep in Oakland. Then you lose 2 of 3 against the Cubs. You lose 2 of 3 against the Rangers. And then you lose the series opener against the Mariners. But then here we go. Back-to-back wins. Have not had the opportunity to say that in a while. But we have the opportunity to say it today. We haven't had the opportunity to say it since that 6-game winning streak that had us all fooled for a little bit. But I said it a little bit yesterday. I'll say it briefly today. You deserve the right to celebrate any win. As Fudd Alex says right here, Angels win 2 games, ? Yeah, it's surprising, but you have the right to celebrate it. You're not delusional. You can still understand that this is all about the future, that this team should be selling at the deadline. We understand all of that. We certainly agree, but celebrate the win. It's a whole lot more fun to watch a team that wins than a team that loses. Another reason the team won tonight, in addition to the bullpen, was Jose Soriano, who was, I thought, one of the most impressive sort of up-and-coming players on this roster when he broke into the rotation this year, kind of out of nowhere, as a long reliever, suddenly a starter. He has the stuff, like I said, a kind of a similar pitch repertoire to what Ben Joyce has now, with the sinker, with the slider, with the changeup, off-speed, down, dirt pitch. It was about for Soriano, it was about getting more comfortable, getting deeper in games. It was about being able to get out of jams. When you're a reliever, you only have one jam you got to get out of. When you're a starter, you have multiple. And that's why today's start was so encouraging, because in previous starts, it had not been, when Soriano came back from the IL, he was not as sharp as earlier in the year. In his most recent start, he was not great. Against the Cubs, July 7th, 5 innings pitched, 6 hits, 3 earned runs. It's not terrible, but it's not great. The game before that against the A's, he took a loss. In just 4 innings pitched, gives up 3 hits, but 4 earned runs, 2 home runs. But tonight, what do we see? We see him not look lights out, He certainly got himself in trouble multiple times, but the resilience is what I would prefer to see. It's why I'd rather see Ben Joyce have to get that strikeout of the side with the runner on second, rather than just having a lights out inning. I'm weird maybe, but I want to see you be in difficult situations and how you respond. And it kind of started difficult right away. A leadoff walk to J.P. Crawford you hate to see, even though it's on a great at-bat from J.P. Crawford. Let's be honest, 11 pitches. Pitch 8, 9, and 10, all foul balls. 11 pitches. Pitches 4 and 5 fouled as well. You start with the leadoff walk, then you give up a single. It's first and third with nobody out. Then you give up a single to Julio Rodriguez. And just like that, it's 1-0. There's runners on first and second. You haven't even gotten an out yet. And Jose Soriano's start is starting to look like our buddy Kohanetnich or whatever from 2 days ago in that disastrous 11-0 defeat. I'm like, oh, geez, are we having another one of these games? But he responds so beautifully. He gets a force out. He gets a double play. You only give up 1 run. Top of the second, he has another walk. Sure, it still ends up being a 1-2-3 because Rojas immediately gets caught stealing. Shot at Logan O'Hoppe. But still, 2 innings, 2 walks, and a run allowed already. And then it didn't get any easier. Top of the third, leadoff single to Victor Robles, who was great tonight. Then you get back-to-back strikeouts, and I'm like, okay, Soriano is settling in. But no, then he hits Julio Rodriguez, then he walks Mitch Garver, and there's more trouble. There's more trouble. At this point, you've already gotten some runs to get you the lead. You're already up 2-1 now at this point. And luckily, Luke Raley comes up and he strikes him out. And from there, Soriano was able to settle in a little bit. 4th inning, 1-2-3. 5th inning, gives up the single, but then gets 2 straight outs. gives up another single, gives up another walk, but he gets out of it again on a great play from Keston Hiura, and Soriano able to cover first base, get Luke Raley by half a stride. It was that close, but you got the job done. So shout out to Soriano. The 6th inning was also crazy. He started off with another hit by pitch, 2 hit by pitches, 2 walks, but another double play, and then a ground out from Rojas gets him through the 6th somehow, some way. Despite a first inning where you give up a run, and then it's first and second with still nobody out, despite leading off the 6th with a hit by pitch, despite after getting 2 outs in the 5th, giving up a base hit and a walk, despite all of it, despite a hit by pitch in the 3rd, despite all of it, just 1 run allowed from Jose Soriano. And this is the type of start, even more so than a game where you allow 3 hits and no runs in 6 innings or something. This is the type of start you remember as a young, newly converted starting pitcher. Now the next time he goes out and there's a runner on second with nobody out, he's going to remember that game against the Mariners where he got out of it. The next time he leads off an inning with a walk or leads off an inning with a hit by pitch, he's going to remember that game against the Mariners. Even more so than he's going to remember a game where he struck out the side and had nothing to worry about for 3 or 4 innings, right? So that's why these games, that's why these experiences are so valuable. And it's also just fun watching Soriano pitch. I really think it is. So I really enjoy watching him pitch. I look a little bit closer at his emotion and his body language than other pitchers, certainly on the Angels rotation and in the overall pitching staff. But so great, so happy to see the result as well. The resilience, all of that. So shout out to Soriano. Great start. Anytime you give up 1 run in 3 innings, 4 innings, but 6 innings of 1 run ball, absolutely fantastic. Shout out to him. And then how nice that the starter pitched great and the bullpen did not blow it. Feels like we rarely get both. We rarely get starter fantastic and bullpen fantastic. One of the two usually slips up. That's also how baseball works for most teams. And the pitching staff has kind of been overly criticized as is, because we know the Angels never really score runs. Even in this game, the pitching staff did not get much help. There's been plenty of games where the Angels give up 5 runs or 4 runs or 3 runs, and it's not enough. And so in a game where the offense still didn't really do anything, the pitching staff came through, and boy, did they come through. So shout out to all 4 pitchers that pitched tonight. And the vibes, the momentum, with this momentum-based team, it was all set by Jose Soriano. So shout out to him. We're going to take our last break here on the postcast. When we come back, we'll talk about how the Angels did score, because obviously you can't win without scoring, even though it really felt like the offense did nothing today, just 5 hits in a win. Very rarely do you get to say that, but a big second inning where you score 2 runs, that was the difference and the game-winning inning for our Angels. We'll talk about it, and we'll read some comments before I let you enjoy the weekend here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. Today's show is brought to you by Supply House. And this is great. We haven't not had the opportunity to tell you about Supply House in a while. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com. And finally, today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. I love sports. I love them so much, but everything's winding down. I never want them to stop, but the NBA stopped on us. The NHL stopped on us. The Euros and Copa are about to both be done tomorrow. We get fewer games, and the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But here's the trick, guys. FanDuel still lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open up the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Back here live on Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. This is the Locked On Angels Postcast, and the Angels are victorious for a second straight night. That's right, folks. Another tight one-run victory. I don't need to win by 5 runs. I don't need to win by 9 runs. I just want to win, baby. Especially lately when we haven't even been doing that. I will take a win any way I get it. The walk-off last night was fun, but hey, sometimes it's nice to watch a pitching duel where your pitchers, specifically the bullpen, absolutely lock things down. So I was certainly still enjoying this game. But thank goodness, the offense was not great, but thank goodness they were good enough in the second inning. All 2 of the Angels' runs coming in the bottom of the second, despite it starting with a leadoff ground out from Logan O'Hoppe, a 1-out single for Mickey Moniak, and then a steal of second base by Mickey Moniak. Start the rally. And Mickey Moniak quietly heating up a little bit. I'm not going to, I used to call him Mickey Mouse Moniak. I'm certainly not doing that now. I'm not ready to call him Mickey MVP Moniak or anything like that, but he deserves his credit. He is certainly warming up and at a decent time, knowing that in a couple weeks, some of the guys in our lineup might be traded to another team, and maybe he gets to move up in that lineup a little bit more. Maybe. So he's able to get on, steal second base. Keston Hiura grounds out. Zach Neto walks, and it's first and second with 1 out. With 2 outs. And then the play of the game, easily. You thought it was going to be a key play when it happened, but you did not think it would end up being the deciding play. It ended up being the deciding play. With the Mariners up 1-0, Joe Adell, he hits a liner to right field. It's a base hit. Mickey Moniak scores. But I don't know what happened with the Mariners here. What should have been a simple throw from Luke Raley to second base somehow gets underneath the glove of J.P. Crawford. Somehow no one's backing him up. I think the reason nobody's backing him up is because you don't really expect this ball to go anywhere. It's not like there was a close, tight play at second or anything, really. And no one's backing up J.P. Crawford. The ball rolls under his glove. It rolls all the way past the third baseline, all the way against the wall. And Neto looks up, sees there's nobody backing up the throw, and he runs in to score pretty easily. So the Angels only have 1 earned run, theoretically, in this game, because the second run was scored via the error, via the bad throw, but also just overall total blunder by the Mariners fielding the ball. Surprising from a team who obviously has one of the best rotations in baseball, a pretty darn good bullpen, and a pretty solid and consistent defense as well. Even with the foolishness, they still only give up 2 runs in the game because their pitching staff has been so great. But only 1 earned run tonight, the second coming via that really costly error. But I'm not complaining one bit. Thank you very much. And the Angels take a lead there, and clearly they didn't deserve the lead. They only earned one of those 2 runs, but they didn't act like they had any work left to do. They really did nothing the remainder of the game. Rendon with another 0 for 4. He's freezing cold right away. He comes back and has a decent first 2 games, and then he has that 3 strikeout game, 0 for 4 today with the strikeout. He's falling off already. Shanuel gets on via the walk, but 0 for 3. Taylor Ward, 1 for 4 with a strikeout. Still not helping his trade value very much at all, right when you need him to. Brandon Drury was awful tonight. 0 for 3 with the 3 strikeouts. He was brutal. Logan O'Hoppe did have the hit. I will certainly take a 1 for 3 from him. The average is all the way up to 279. The OPS is still over 800. If that average is in the 280s, the OPS is in the 800s, and he's our team leader and a great catcher, certainly a very solid season so far from Logan O'Hoppe. Mickey Moniak is in the 210s, ladies and gentlemen. A 1 for 3 with that key run. He's now hitting 211. This guy was hitting 180, a couple weeks ago, maybe even a week or so ago. Now hitting 211. Thank goodness. Unfortunately, another guy hitting 211 now is Keston Hiura, another 0 for 3. But Mickey Moniak, he gets moved up in the lineup again today. He hit 6th today. And if he can heat up, there's certainly an opportunity for him to continue moving up in this lineup because the Angels do not have many lefties. I've said it before. I'll say it again. You got Nolan Shanuel. You've got Willie Calhoun every once in a while in the cleanup spot playing DH. But other than that, and especially with what the Angels are doing right now, toggling Rendon between third base and DH, the opportunities for Willie Calhoun they're diminished. They're cut in half because we know he's going to give you nothing in the field. He's only going to play at DH. And so when Rendon needs to DH, Willie Calhoun doesn't get to play. KC24J says, I thought Willie deserved to start today instead of Drury. I agree. Not theoretically, I agree. But here's the problem. Ron Washington has made it very clear. He is going to alternate between third base and DH for Anthony Rendon. And tonight was a DH game for Anthony Rendon. So guess what happens? Willie Calhoun can't play. And it's really unfortunate because Willie Calhoun is a valuable bat for the Angels right now because he's a lefty and because we don't have many of them. But when Rendon's hitting DH, not playing, when he's at DH, there's no room for Willie Calhoun. And it's unfortunate, but it's just the state of things until Rendon is finally eased all the way, eased back up, accelerated back up to being an everyday third baseman. So we don't get Willie Calhoun tonight. That's why Moniak hits sixth. And, I think in a couple weeks, I think Taylor Ward will be gone. I think at this point, if you can get anything for him, you do it. And then I think there's a real scenario where it's, Rendon, Shanuel, and maybe it's a Brandon Drury hitting third. Maybe it's, I don't even know who else hitting third. I still think O'Hoppe should then be the cleanup hitter. And then Mickey Moniak might be your 5 hitter. Or if it's a game when Willie Calhoun is hitting, it might be like Rendon, Shanuel, O'Hoppe, Calhoun, Moniak. Or maybe Moniak hits third. Then you have a lot of lefties in the top of the order against the righty, which is what I want to see. So there's certainly a route to Mickey Moniak getting promoted, getting moved up more and more in this lineup. And I don't want to get ahead of myself. The guy's still hitting 211. He has still been abysmal for most of the season. But if he's hitting 225 and Taylor Ward's not on the team, he might be hitting third. He might be hitting fifth. It certainly could happen. But he goes 1 for 3. He has the hit and the stolen base that starts the rally. He was big in other wins with rallies as well. So he deserves some credit for that. I know he's gotten a lot of flack from a lot of fans, including myself. But he's slowly heating up a little bit. At the very least, I've said it so many times, at the very least, hit well against righties. And at the very least, Jo Adell hit well against lefties. Now, the quiet story of the game is that Jo Adell goes 2 for 3. He still, even in a 2 for 3 performance, manages to strike out. But he goes 2 for 3. He has the only RBI of the game for our team. And he gets on again. So, Jo Adell, 188. He still has a long way to go just to catch up to Mickey Moniak. The difference is he's been playing every game. Mickey Moniak doesn't even play every game. See what happens when you don't play every game? You go 2 for 3 or 1 for 3 a couple times, and suddenly your average is 211. We play Jo Adell every night, and even when he goes 2 for 3, he's still hitting 188. So I still don't think Jo Adell needs to be playing every day. But shout out to Jo Adell. He came through tonight, 2 for 3. If he could heat up, that would be great, because he still has more upside than Mickey Moniak. Certainly, he still has more upside than most guys on this roster. But we're certainly not going to talk about that right now when he's still hitting 188. But still, great to see him come through. Certainly, I think there's potential there for Moniak and Adell to move up this lineup. Even Zach Neto as well. I know he doesn't have a hit today, but he gets a walk, ends up scoring on that crazy error. These guys certainly have an opportunity to move up in the lineup, because just look at it. Taylor Ward could be gone. Brandon Drury could be gone. Guillermo could be gone, theoretically. There's certainly a route for a lot of these guys to move up. And that's what we'll talk about throughout the rest of the season, specifically with the deadline coming up, is guys getting moved up in the lineup, having more and more of an opportunity to show what type of hitter we're going to have with you in the next, couple of months, in the next couple of years, right? We don't know. So it'll be interesting. It will be interesting. But, man, I'm working myself up into a frenzy. I'm sweating. I'm excited. We've won back-to-back games. I'm out of breath just from talking so much today. I don't know why. It's the regular length of a postcast. But today I'm huffing and puffing. Maybe I'm just that fired up because the Angels have won 2 in a row. But one more time, shout out to everybody in here. Sean Ireland, Jeff, Anthony Jimenez, Thomas. I think my first time seeing you. Fudd Alex, as always. KC24J. Love seeing you back in here. Light that baby up. Thanks for all the comments from everyone live. Thanks for all the likes and comments from everyone after the fact. And like I said, as Anthony said, he said, Gavin hoping for 3 wins in a row before you leave for New York. He was the one who said, when this Mariners series started, can we just get 1 win before Gavin leaves Sunday night? Well, now we have a chance to make it 3 in a row tomorrow and a series victory against the first place Mariners. That would be great. So whether it is a win and a series victory or a loss, I will be back here tomorrow afternoon, not night. It is a day game tomorrow, and that's why I'm flying out that night. So I will be here. I'm going to do the postcast, and then I will head to New York for the All-Star break to take a quick break from the postcast, and I'll be right back once the games start back up again. But please join me tomorrow for the postcast. Hopefully the Angels can make it 3 in a row. We have not had the opportunity to say that, certainly, in the whole month of July, and since that 6-game winning streak as well. Who knows? Maybe a 6-game winning streak is starting now. I'm kidding. I won't get ahead of myself there. But I'll see you guys back here tomorrow, live on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel, and hopefully after another Angel win. Angels 2, Mariners 1. Jose Soriano was great. The bullpen is even better. And one play in the second inning, enough for those 2 runs and that Angels victory. Take care, everybody. I'll see you guys back here tomorrow. Go Angels.